So I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that you need to put into perspective when you're doing big data. Someone was asking yesterday that is it too late for people, big organizations that have not started? It's not too late. But for people that are also starting, is it worth it for them to actually invest in it? But yes, you need to have a short-term decision, but you have to be long-term focused because things are going to evolve quickly. You want to make sure that you're prepared. If you're a small company, you have to think ahead, like what kind of data would become useful for us in the future? How do we gather data for that? But for a small company, you need to also see what is important. So this is the key thing. This is very important. You need to think about application driving most of a company's data growth. So you don't necessarily have to capture all data, but you need to think about what are the kind of data points that help us to grow as a business. Those are the kind of data that you want to kind of focus on. So as you implement big data, these are questions you want to ask yourself as a small company, and the CEO says, we don't have the money to do big data today. But you want to tell them that let's ask our questions, what kind of data will become very useful for us in the next 2-3 years? Where are we going to be? What kind of data do we need? And you can kind of analyze that and say, these are the data that we're going to need. And you can also say, when you get there, is this data useful for us? Would it help us to grow? Would it help us to become profitable? If the answer to that is yes, then you should think about when and how to start capturing this kind of data. So these are a little bit of techie terms, but I thought that is useful for you guys to see what that means. So you can see quick access. That is important for any kind of data structure you have. So for example, if you ever have to employ an IT guy or somebody is trying to set up an IT database for you, you want to be able to ask these questions. Would it have quick access? Would it have downtime? How would it self-manage, etc.? So, but most importantly, most of the data that we have today, a lot of them are on cloud, and most of them kind of handle failure very well, and they're very heterogeneous. They can connect to different kind of data sources as well. So this I'm going to send to you guys as slide. You can reflect back on it, especially if you ever need that in the future. And those are very useful for you to know. So data, you need to find out where to get it. What kind of data do you need? You need to store it, and you need to also process and analyze it. And processing always is about how do you crunch that data and make sense of it. So the storage decision is also about, do you store it in-house? Do you store it in the cloud? Do you have an hybrid solution? Those are kind of questions that you want to have answers to. And all of these slides I'm going to send to you so you can also review it. So final thoughts on big data. Initially, make sure you experiment. Get your skilled guys to work on the experiment. IT shouldn't necessarily train analysts who want to move ahead with full throttle. So be open, be flexible. Let people come up with very nice ideas and crazy ideas to make sure they drive your big data ideas. We've talked about this extensively, so I'm not going to talk about it for now so that we can get into some other interesting stuff in a bit. So keep it short and simple. You start with few questions. How am I doing today? What are my business dynamics, drivers of my business? Where do I focus on? Who are my customers? How do I engage them? Keep it very short. Start with keep it short and simple means that's what people call the KISS model. So think about it that way. Make sure it's really simple. Don't overcomplicate it. So for organizations that are deploying big data, some of them have like a mathematical kind of formula to check how they are doing. This is also useful. They look at data quality. They look at data-driven leadership, which we talked about. Do they have people with analytical skills? So if you tick all these boxes, data-driven decision-making process and good infrastructure, if you kind of tick all of these boxes, that means that your maturity quotient is actually increasing. So if you want to kind of put some sort of figure around how am I doing in terms of big data, this is a useful kind of formula to find that out. So in summary, you see more with big data. You see new things that you've not seen before. They're different, and they actually They're better, and they actually help you to make better decisions. So that's what big data, in very simple terms, that's exactly what it does. It makes you see more, see different, and help you to make better decisions. So the question for today, I'm going to put a constraint. And the constraint is that guys are not allowed to participate in this. Why? Why are guys not allowed? So someone asked why are guys not allowed, right? Okay, the reason, and I'll tell you why. The reason is that, and I'm going to use data, we've had 2 winners, and they are both guys. Okay, so I want, so now, by method of elimination, I'm removing the guys. So, I'm coming. So guys, I want you to pay attention to this. There's something that I actually just did now, and when we get to artificial intelligence, I'm going to talk about it. Okay, so the constraint, and I'm going to put it in one corner for now. And so when we talk about artificial intelligence, I told you guys during the break, get some Coke so that your brain is like, functioning. So the constraint is that guys cannot participate, right? So this is something I'm going to refer to later. It's very, very important. So I'll put an arrow below it. Yes, my lady, who is this? Yes.
Me? Okay. I don't remember her name, but she's like the CEO. Basically, she's done something where she created like a new medicine, like pharmaceutical or something like that.
Wow.
I think Elizabeth. The blood test.
Elizabeth? Oh my God, you guys are going to make it difficult for me. Okay, so what did you want to say?
I think she dropped out of very well-known university, and she found the blood test that.
Oh my God. Okay, good. All right, that's all right, guys. So I'll need the class help on this. Okay. So she's actually. So you got it right. She got it right. The 3 of them actually got it right. So. So I think we're going to. So how do we divide the book? So I'm going to ask one more questions at the later point, and only the 3 of them will be able to participate. Actually, I'm actually going to mail the book to 3 of you. You actually right on point. But I have one book today, but I'll get the 3 of you a book. This is very important. And the reason why I'm asking this question, this question was asked in the EMBA class, and nobody knew it. And everybody knew. So, guys, audience guys, excuse me, can you close your computer, please? So in the EMBA class, this lady was put side by side with Mark Zuckerberg. And everybody in the class knew Mark, but nobody knew this lady. So I think it's important for us to also know that she founded the company called Theranos, and it's an health. She actually dropped out of Stanford, and she's into health technology. She's self-made. She's worth $4.5 billion, and she's age 31. So, I just want you guys to, and so they call her the self-made lady billionaire. And she's in health and tech and stuff like that. So, very good answers. So, how did you guys find that out?
I was reading stuff about like women and the world, and she's on every list.
Okay, good. Good. I'm happy that you guys are doing that. So, yes. So, she's very interesting. That's about that. All right. So, I'll give you guys one book each. So let's move into making business intelligence work for you guys, for you. So we moved from big data, we are moving into business intelligence now. And someone mentioned that analytics helps us to make sense of data. We have a video to watch, but I think I'm going to come back to that video later. So, but for big data, for business intelligence, big data has to be, the data has to be clean. So when you say the data has to be clean, you have to be looking at the right type. So it's important for you to be looking at the right type of data because it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So for you to actually derive intelligence, you need to make sure that you're looking at the right type of data. That's very important. And here, so big data kind of have a crossroad with business intelligence because, yes, please.
Clean means looking at the right data.
Yes, so clean, because if I say clean, unstructured data doesn't look clean, but it could be the right type of data. So the reason why I'm putting right type of data in bracket is that clean doesn't mean that it has to be structured. It could be unstructured, but the most important thing for us is that are we looking at the right type of data for the type of criteria that we're looking at? So for example, in your assignment, if you want to check if someone has a lot of connection and you're looking at it from a professional point of view and you're looking at connection on Facebook. So is that the right type of data for what you're looking for? Not really. It's good, but the error could be, so if you're using that to judge, the error could be higher, but if you're looking at LinkedIn profile as a source of data to validate if someone has a lot of professional connection, then the error will be lower. So are you looking at the right type of data? That is very, very important. So for business intelligence, if you see this is very similar to the collaborative effort that I talked about before. It's very similar. It's looking at people that have domain understanding, which is expertise, like Amanda mentioned the other day, and somebody was asking a good question. Data scientists and IT skills. So it's always that three people combining together to help you guys to make sense of your data. Again, the data scientists are really scarce. The demand is high, but the supply is low. But how do you start looking at building a data science lab? Staff it with trainees. So even if they don't know it today, put people that have interest in it, and over time they can kind of catch up with it. Introduce a statistician, identify business process expert, people that are really domain expert, and let it grow. Not engineers, seek something new. That's the kind of mix you want to have in your data science lab. Business intelligence is actually transforming data from just data to actionable points. And that's what you call the aha moment. So when you have all sort of data, and you can really crunch it using analytics and all of that, and you can say, wow, we never thought about it this way. That's what you actually call big data transformation. So let's talk about the analytics part of it. And I kind of put it in a way that makes it easier. So most of the time when you have data, and we talked about descriptive, which are just charts and all of that. So that kind of looks at what happened in the past. Then you want to move into diagnostic that tells you why it happened. And the present is what is happening. The future is what will happen and what should I do. So you move from what happened to actually action. What do I do? That's how you look at analytics of big data. I'm going to share this slide with you, but I want you to kind of reflect on it. Does this kind of make sense to you and how people look at data? Does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense, can you raise up your hand? I can make it more clear. Okay, I think we're good. So descriptive data, what happened, it's usually pie charts, graphs, kind of showing you sales ratio. It summarizes the past. For example, who are my best and worst customers? If you have a set of customers, how much are they paying? Are they coming? Are they frequent buyers and all of that? You can use that. You can use descriptive to see that. But if you know how many people are buying from you, how much you're spending, does it tell you why they're buying from you? No. So you want to move into diagnostic and why did it happen? Data summarizes the past. Why did our customers buy X products in February 2007? So if you are looking at February 2007, these are a little bit multi-dimensional. So you're looking at it from different point of view and saying why did they actually buy from us. So that's what you call diagnostic. That's actually now looking at why did that happen. And predictive is important because then you now start looking at this has happened, this is why it happened, but what will happen going forward? So you want to look at patterns that show problems or patterns that identify opportunities. So for example, your customers are not coming back. That's a problem. And the pattern can actually show you, that customers are not coming back. And it can tell you why they're not coming back. And then it will now tell you, so let's look at it from a point. Let's assume that you have a descriptive data. And it says that customers, so you can actually see customers disappearing. And you have diagnostic that tells you why they disappeared. And this can also tell you how many customers are disappearing as well, which is important. Then you get into predictive. And predictive can tell you, so what do you think predictive can tell you if this is happening? What do you think, based on this kind of scenario, customers are disappearing? Now you know why they're disappearing. Sorry? Okay, so reasons still fall here. So reasons still fall here. I want you guys to tell me predictive. Give me what kind of insight you can see from this. Yes, please.
It tells you what to do about the problem.
Okay, you're getting to prescriptive. So what to do is predictive. We've not gotten to that. Predictive, I want predictive. Yes, that's a good, it will tell you if they'll continue to disappear. That's a good point. So it will tell you the trend.
It predicts behavior, so if you do X, Y will happen.
Yes, so that's good. Predictive will tell you, so that's a little bit of prescriptive. It will tell you what would happen if you don't do anything. And so this will tell you what to do. It will tell you what, that's actually optimization. It will tell you what would happen in different scenarios. So I want someone to talk about predictive, yes.
What changes we can do?
Changes you can do is prescriptive.
Does it tell you what happened, what could happen in certain scenarios?
Yes, certain scenarios, this predictive. I'll take one more, then I'll, yes.
Maybe it tells you the result if there's no change.
Exactly, so that's it. It tells you that, so if these trends continue in the next 1 year, you won't have customers and your revenue will be zero. So predictive tells you based on what we're seeing, this is why it's happening. If you do nothing, this is what could happen. So that is exactly what predictive tells you. Predictive will tell you what are the likely outcomes. So predictive tells you likely outcomes. Then you now move into predictive tells you what likely outcomes. So if you look at this now, it kind of tells you, so what happened? We've talked about that. Why did it happen? What will happen is predictive. What will happen? Would the customers go away? Would nothing happen? Maybe those ones are just dissatisfied, they don't like your product, some will stay with you. Or maybe if they continue to leave and they continue to put stuff in the media, in the social media and everything, then you continue to lose more customers at X rate by every month. And then in the next 2 years, we project that we're not going to have consumers, and we're going to have a revenue of X, Y, of 0 or whatever, or negative. It could be inventory, it could be anything. So this is what this does for you is it really helps you to narrow down on data instead of having gut feeling and someone saying that this would happen. But data will actually show you all of this, what has happened, what will happen. And so it's also important to know why it happened, because sometimes things happen and there's nothing you can do about it. But if the reason why it happened is something that you can actually do something about, then you can go back to your process and say, let's change it. So this, then someone talked about what is the best that could happen. That's why I said is optimization. Optimization is, so what to do is prescriptive, and most intelligence system will tell you, it will give you different options of what to do, and they will tell you how to do it and what will be what will happen in different scenarios. So that's what you call optimization, and what is the best that could happen. Prescriptive, what should I do? So let me talk about, let me just give you an idea of, when you start getting to predictive, it's not just about having data that you can show anymore. You need to apply some sort of logic and business rules. And logic is, these are like constraints, or saying if this is like this. So predictive, you need to tell the system, you have to give it some sort of inputs, which are like constraints or questions or logic. And based on that and business rules, they need to predict certain scenarios for you. And when you get to prescriptive, you also need data, but then you need more sophisticated methods to arrive at decisions. So as you kind of move from this to this, you kind of need some more sophisticated kind of approach for that. So a lot of companies are still here and here, but most of them are trying to push to this and to this. And this is where we now start talking about needing data scientists. And what do we know about data scientists? What do you know about them? They're scarce. So that's the thing. So these guys are scarce. So when you realize, this concept that we're talking about in class today, most companies are struggling with it. And it's because of several reasons. Everybody's trying to understand it. Everybody is trying to get these guys. And again, when demand is more than supply, what happens? Prices go up. So that's why they're fancy. That's why people are paying a premium to actually get them to work in the organization, because everybody needs it. There are not a lot of them. There are not a lot of people with experience. So the demand for data scientists, computer scientists, people that have this kind of knowledge and expertise, the demand is very high. And you find out that, so when I talk about IBM, Facebook, and Google, that's because they're on the frontier of doing all of this. And that's because they have a lot of cash to actually attract those people. And not alone the cash, even the business, the culture, the environment is enabling. If you fail, for example, Google allow you to come up with ideas, and if you fail, they don't criticize it for you. So there is a testing ground for people with with open mind, and their work culture is different. They dress how they like. It's a very fostering environment. So prescriptive, we start moving to optimization. If you look at this, optimization under uncertainty, how can we have the best outcome given the variability that we have? Or for example, how can we have the best outcome out of the variability that we have? So that's what prescriptive is about. So I mentioned in the beginning that you move from data to optimization. And I like the way these guys actually put it. So if you look at descriptive, is hindsight, what happened in the past. Then when you get to diagnostic, you see that insight, you have those aha moments of like, wow, you didn't think about things this way. Then you start moving to foresight of what would happen, how and what can we do. That's the kind of that's the graphical representation of what we've been talking about. Sorry? Yep. Okay. I'm going to share the slides with you, so it's also going to be with you. But yeah, you can take notes, especially things that I
Because I need to transfer or transmit the knowledge you receive.
Oh, okay. Good. All right, that's a really good point. So guys, if I'm moving too fast, you need to slow me down. You need to slow me down. All right, so Fabienne?
Yes.
Do you want me to go over it again?
Yes.
Okay.
If you send us the slide.
Sure. No, I'll rather go over it again. The slide is not going to be as informative as if we have an interaction in class. So I think we could go over, let's go over it again. That's a good, so I like that. That's very good. If you feel like you don't understand a concept or that I'm moving fast, you please feel free to, tell me to stop, then we can go over it again. All right. Okay, so I'm going to just go over it again just one more time for you guys to ask questions and also to get a better understanding. So for data, we always want to move from describing data to having optimization. Fabien?
Yes.
We're going over it again.
Yes.
All right, good. So we want to see what happened in the past and what can we do going forward in the future. And I kind of listed what kind of categories of analytics that is needed to actually achieve that. Okay, so descriptive are usually dashboards. They're usually pie charts. They are usually, so you can see these are like showing you and categorizing that into a kind of pictorial description. Yes.
You know Wolfram?
Wall?
Wolfram?
No, tell me about it.
I think it's like an analytical tool which analyzes your social media coverage, how you use it, etc. Is this it?
Yeah.
How you are active, etc. And it goes this is descriptive.
Yes. So that's I'm sure that's one too. I don't know it, but based on how you've explained it, that could be a descriptive of how you use social media. That is descriptive. For example, if that same tool, Fabien, if that same tool tells you why you use social media that way, then that tool is more diagnostic. If it's telling you why you use social media, and so it's descriptive. It tells you where you go to, and that information can also contain why you actually go there. So, for example, if we realize that every time you go to your social media page, you are looking for information, academic information. So that could be a reason why you go to that platform. And so, if an advertiser says that, they can predict that based on the fact that every time you go to social media, you are looking for academic information, they can predict that you will always go to social media to look at academic information at 9 o'clock in the night. So for example, you're a student, you spend most of your time on campus, but at night, in the evening, everything you've learned in class, you kind of go back to review it. That platform that she mentioned will start seeing a description of your usage habit, and they can start predicting. So if they know that you come in the evening, then the prescription could be advertise this product to Fabian at 9 o'clock in the night.
I have a question.
Yes.
How Hult advertise themselves in every website which I open?
Good question. So obviously, Hult is actually deploying an application, which I showed you about advertisement, that knows your usage a bit. So you probably clicked on Hult at some point, and then they see as a user that has interest in Hult, and they continue to advertise to you.
But it's access every website. It can be in Chinese, in Russian, and in English.
Yeah. So I talked about fingerprinting earlier on. So most of the advertisers, they kind of follow you. Okay? They kind of know what you've done, and they try to advertise things to you that is associated to what you've done. So that's why I was telling you about fingerprinting and all of that. They use it extensively in advertisement. So, for example, once I go to a website, in the next few days, I keep seeing that website popping up and stuff, and even things related to that. So the advertisers, they actually kind of follow us all over the place. They kind of know what we do, and they'll continue to try to advertise stuff to you that they think that will interest you. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Well, I just don't know how, for example, I can be a company and I want to put my advertisement to the person who really likes it. Like, what should I do for that?
Good question. So guys, how do you position your advertisement to people that actually want it? And I showed you I showed you something about Luma. And there are different stakeholders in the advertisement ecosystem. And if you go to Lumira, you see the stakeholders that are involved in the digital media ecosystem. It's very important to look into that if you want to advertise. And what they do is they do some sort of optimization based on user pattern. And they can actually, so they have a tool, all you need to do is pay for their services, and they'll help you to advertise to people that would have interest in what you offer. So Google does the same as well, and you have what you call Google Ads and stuff like that. So you have what you call Google Ads. And they do a ranking to put you on the top spot when everybody search for. So for example, if you have a spa in Dubai, so people do they have all sorts of buzzwords in the advertisement. And it's based on an auction. Is an auction. Do you understand what an auction means? You understand what an auction means? So if the word is the ad word is can you guys see what I'm writing here? Okay. All right, I'll move to the middle of the. So if the ad word is spas in Dubai, there's an auction that goes. Yes, please.
It's just the first buzzword can be like beach club. And if you just go on Google, you can have some companies that buy a seal, and then you have so free of this, not the best, but the companies that pay most
Yes.
for get the best places on.
Yeah. So that's exactly.
So for beach clubs, it can be CBD.
Yes. Yeah. So that's how it works. But if it's beach club, it could be any beach club in the world, but the more specific ones like spas in Dubai. So if I have a spa in Dubai, or I have a beach club in Dubai, I'll rather go for one that says beach club in Dubai or spas in Dubai. Because the beach club could be anywhere in the world. So you want to make sure that you narrow it to exactly how it fits into your business. So location is something that could be important. You can actually even say spas in Internet City. So when anybody Googles spas in Internet City, you want to make sure your advert comes up. But what Google does is that it's an auction. So that's how they make money. So there are different people competing to have that top spot, and they'll say that this is how much I'm willing to pay for that. So everybody kind of competes for how much to pay to be able to get into. So how many of you go to the 10th page on Google to look at stuff? Sometimes. But you look at the first and that's it, right? So imagine how difficult it is for you to get to the top. So it's not only about how much you pay, it also depends. So after paying, it depends on what the tag words and so many other things. And people use also, it's a complex process. And there are few people that they're professional and that's what they do. So instead of going through that complex process, you can actually get someone that does that service. And if you look to my left, Internet City, they are full of companies. That's what they live on. It's just helping you to optimize your advertisement and stuff like that. So yeah, very good question. There's someone that's raising up.